And
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Space Engineers. Everybody's here. I just wanted to go
No, that's
live.
here.
Hello.
I see. I see.
Fen on the left, Reyna is second, Razor is third.
That's
Cargo will
us.
probably be joining us at some point. Anyway, continue.
they were going down into this place called the Blue Hole.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Damn.
place was a notoriously easy place to dive. A lot of like beginner divers would go here. But there's a section of the Blue Hole which is when you go far down, all the way down like the main line that goes down the center of the Blue Hole to this like flat top like Lion King looking like plat rock in the middle of the at the bottom of the Blue Hole. And then they slant
Wait,
down.
what am I doing?
And
Sorry.
it turns out that there's caves down there that not many people, I think they said like fewer people have been in those holes than people have been in the moon. Like they've been on the moon. So like if you've been there, it was like monumentous. But the chances of you dying was very high because there are so many turned back points and dead ends that if you kick up sediment and you can't see anything, which you'll just have to feel your way through, and it's deep enough to where you can get nitrous oxide poisoning.
Oh,
So-
that's exciting.
Essentially, it's like a giant death trap down there. You have to know every route you take, and if you take the wrong route, you won't have enough oxygen to make it back.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Those people are
and it's too dangerous.
honestly, fucking cave divers, man. They're fucking crazy. There are some extreme sports. There are a lot of really extreme sports. Cave diving is easily the most absurdly insane one. By a huge margin. You have to be off your fucking rocker to want to do that. Anybody that ever expresses an interest in cave diving should just be put in a mental institution. Sir, clearly there's something wrong with your brain.
I have a
We're going to
question
study
for
you.
I have a question for you.
No.
Who's worse, cave divers or pyrotechnicians?
Cave divers.
Cave divers.
100%. I don't think that you could think... Well... No, definitely cave divers. I was going to say that there are people that do maintenance on underground old sewer...
Drills.
Yeah, drills too. I was going to say like the really old sewage systems in some cities in Europe that have been in use for like 1,000 years. The people that have that job are also slightly insane, but they're also getting paid to do that, and they're getting paid pretty well to go into those systems, those tunnel systems, so, you know.
Yeah.
But that's also one of those places where they have a bunch of, alarms strapped to their body in case there's, like, too much H2S gas in the tunnel. The alarm will go off, and then it's oh fuck, get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible. Right?
Right.
Which,
Okay,
and that
I
makes it
have
worse
to-
just because... Sorry, Reyna, you first.
I have to be up in 4.5 hours, so I'm gonna dip.
Okie dokie.
Fair enough.
Enjoy your
Get your
sleep,
rest.
however little of it you get tonight.
Here's hoping I get any.
I believe
Fingers
in you.
crossed.
Okay. I love you guys.
Love you too.
Me too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have fun.
I refuse.
Look
Boy,
and
be.
sit up for me.
I won't have any fun.
I'm dying right now as we speak.
But some of those things are fucking scary for similar reasons. You're basically just trading the water for deadly instant kill gas.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
It's exciting.
For
That's
me,
you hear the loud beep and you're like, oh, I've got 30 seconds to get out of this 2-mile cave, tunnel complex or I'm dead.
like, you remember the, do you know the job where, like, they have to go into, they have to climb those big-ass, like, towers?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
fuck that.
And change the battery?
And the lights
I mean, it's
and
only
shit.
It's only twice a year. It's twice a year, so.
Yeah, it's twice a year, and you get paid 6 figures. Like, you get paid like 130,000 every time you go up and change and come back down. So you basically get like all of the free time in the world, and you get paid like that. You get paid 130,000, so $260,000 a year for 2 days of work. And it's because it takes 4 hours on average to scale that building, and you're doing it alone, and the only thing keeping you alive is that rope attached to your body.
Yeah, you gotta trust your fucking harness.
You have to be in really good shape as well, like, because you're climbing something for 4 hours.
Yeah, hours and hours of climbing is extremely exhausting.
And you are high enough to where it will take you, you know, a solid minute to hit the ground. So you will have plenty of time to think about your life on the way down. And
assuming you don't have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I know some people have heart attacks.
Yeah, that's
I don't know how common that is.
Jump out of a plane.
But, well, you know what they say. If you can jump out of a 30-foot tower, you can jump out of a plane at 30,000 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's actually what the airborne say.
Outstanding.
That's why
but I refuse. I remember one of the people was like, "Yeah, you ready to get your jump wings?" I'm like, "I never agreed to that."
Fuck that.
And they're like, "Why not?" And I'd be like, "Because I'm gonna tell you this. When you get up into the plane, and I get up into the plane, I'll be completely fine. Once we get to the point where you're lowering the hatch and telling us to jump out, you're literally gonna have to physically remove me from that plane."
Yeah.
And I will fight back.
Yeah, it's understandable. I would consider doing a jump once in my life before I die. But I would have to really think about it.
What if we went and jump in together?
I will jump when I am...
I've done
like
indoor
70,
skydiving.
75. Indoor skydiving
really
is
fun.
fun. Well, that's because if you fall, you're not
dead. You're going down like 3 feet and you hit the fucking grate on the floor. That's pretty much
you're
it.
like, ow.
Or you hit the wall. That was the big problem I had, is it's really hard to balance yourself in the air. So I kept hitting the walls. But they have the expert indoor divers. Those guys are fucking nuts, dude. They can do all kinds of tricks. Because they've spent so much time inside those fucking tubes. But... yeah, I know that when you get your... what is it called? The parachute...
Your jump.
Your jump
license.
One of the things they do is they have a big 30-foot, 40-foot tower. And they make you climb the tower and jump out of it multiple times. To help build up I don't want to say a resistance, but less of a fear of jumping.
Yeah, or they're like, all right, you're going bungee jumping today.
Or that. They'll do that too. Just start with smaller heights and then work your way up to 30,000 feet. That's basically what they do.
Yeah, go big or go home, right?
I saw that guy who was like, he was he was like doing a bungee jump thing, and he didn't realize how high it was.
Man, I think bungee jumping
And
is
so-
scarier than jumping out of a fucking plane. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, he was tied to a chair.
Ugh! What?
I don't know why, but like apparently like everyone like they give you a chair that they put you on, and so he's like about to be pushed off the side, and he's like, "Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something." And he's like, I didn't know it was gonna be this hot, and then they just pushed him off,
Outstanding.
and then he screamed all the way down.
Yep. See, that's
All the way home.
one of the benefits of doing a jump like the airborne do is that because it's in a group setting and because it's like go, 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 one after the other,
Gotcha.
the peer pressure tends to help a lot. You know? When you're doing a dive with like a civilian skydiving company, or a jump, I mean,
Yeah.
that peer pressure is not there as much, so you really have to want to do it. Because they can't just throw you out of the plane, you know?
Unless you
They're-
sign like a waiver.
They're getting their money whether or not you jump out of the plane. So they don't really care if you actually do it. So you have to want to do it.
How do you get
Yeah.
the color off of the block?
I think it's Shift P or Control P.
P opens the color picker.
Yeah. It should be Shift P or Control
Yeah.
P that takes the
Okay.
color.
Yeah, Shift P will give you the color of whatever you're looking at. I don't know. I'd like to do it once in my life, but I don't know if I want to do it enough to actually do it, you know? It's one thing
How
to
much
say,
do you really want it?
not that much. That's the problem. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, I'd like to do it once before I die, but
And everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so good. It's the best experience of your life." And you're like, "Don't care."
I don't care, bro. Like, I don't like roller coasters. What makes you think I want to jump out of a fucking plane?
Fucking same.
Although,
I
my
just-
issue with roller coasters has always come down to my mistrust. It's like,
What do you mean you don't always trust people?
it's like, I look at that fucking old wooden roller coaster that was built 35 years ago, has been maintained by 16 and 17-year-olds for 4 decades, and is on the beach, and I go, nah, fuck that. That thing's been eating salt water for 40 fucking years, being maintained by children. There's no fucking way, bro. I'm not getting on that.
Go fuck yourself.
Or even worse, the traveling ones, where they have to take it down and put it back up. Those ones are even worse. There is just no trust at all from those. I don't trust them
It's a
one
shame
bit.
they don't pay adults enough to maintain those.
I mean, there are regulations, like an engineer has to come and inspect it. But
And then they have people ride it to see how safe it is. Like they're like safety inspectors. They're like, yeah, my
Right.
job is to ride this roller coaster, make sure it feels safe, and
right.
all the regulations are followed.
And yet, people still die.
Those people are stupid. Just don't die.
Well, some people, it's like one person, I think it was like,
It's not always the
He-
fault of the
he-
roller coaster.
yeah, like
But-
he like ripped off his own safety stuff,
Yeah, you can't do that.
and then
That's how you
and then-
die.
and then died. Because the machine isn't necessarily made to fight you and keep you in the machine if you want out.
Right. Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah, so just don't rip off the own safety measures and you'll be fine.
I think
That
we might need to
said,
get some
I
ice at
still
some
don't.
point.
Do
Still
we?
don't like roller coasters.
There's no
Yeah.
fucking way.
At least the H2O2 generator's not filled with ice.
Where all the fucking ice go?
The lag's eating it up.
I guess we did eat it all. Let me check
It
the
was very
Yarhar.
tasty. Yeah.
The Yarhar might still have a bunch. Yeah, it's still got 188,000.
That's a lot.
So what we can do is transfer 80,000 and then leave the
Yeah.
rest in the Yarhar so that the Yarhar can make the trip back to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay. Will the Yarhar be able to hit that? Maybe. We'll find out. We will see if it fits.
Yeah. I might not put metal wheels on. I might just make it so that something can lower from the middle to pick us up from ground if we are in a vehicle. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You sounded very disappointed.
Just focusing, because if I crash this, Dreamy will never speak to me again and I'll die.
That's understandable.
Hi, Dreamy. I love you. I miss you.
Oh, hi, Dreams.
I haven't seen you in a while. And my heart hurts.
Where do you see them right now?
Just turn the signals off entirely so I can see.
Stinky.
Don't think I can hit that connector.
I don't think you can either. You might have to go around to the other side, but...
Oop. That didn't
Oh,
happen.
brother, be careful.
Don't worry about it.
That's my ship you're hurting too, just so you know. What if I never speak to you again? I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
I didn't mean that. Please, I have abandonment issues. Don't leave me.
So why? Dreamy, please don't be mad. I'm too sensitive right now.
I'm too sensitive right now, I'm fine.
I'm gonna fucking punch you.
Hi, I'm
That's
gonna
hot.
punch you. I'm right
I thought you were too sensitive right now.
there.
You're stuck with both of us. I apologize.
I never apologize. I
I'm
am who I
apologizing
am.
on your behalf. Get fucked, nerd.
Mm,
I think I realized.
I
oh, no,
will.
never
I
mind.
will say get fucked purely because you apologized on my behalf.
You're welcome. That's called being a good
Never
Samaritan.
apologize for who you are, Fen.
Dreamy, I'm pretty sure that I did 0 damage.
No, they
Space
totally
Engineers-
fucked it up. I can see it from here.
Space Engineers is weird about whether or not hitting something will do damage.
Sometimes like a little tap and it's like, oh, you fucked everything on your ship.
Oh, look at
Everything's
that,
dead.
plane exploded. You fucking imbecile.
God damn it.
No.
Idiot, why did you do that? What do you mean low fuel? It's 93%. Fuck off. Lurky's got a tummy. Okay, Dreamy. Thank you for stopping by.
Wow.
Take care.
Wow.
Dreams. Love you too, Dreams. Shake my hand.
Fucking
Yeah, it's
smelly.
in perfect shape. Nothing broke.
Yeah. Should be fine.
It's weird. You hit something pretty fucking hard and it goes up, boom, and then no damage. And then other times you tap something and everything explodes.
Alright, well, shit.
I've had to repair the fucking, like, same part of the... oh my fucking god. Suspension. just because it taps the ground for like half a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate how fucking heavy warfare battery cell thing my bitches are. Fuck battery cells.
There is a welder ship right there.
You know what? You know what?
I'm stubborn. What's that?
Imagining Dreams actually, playing the game with us.
Never.
Man, that would be wild. That would be so crazy.
crazy.
Dreams playing with us?
Oh
No
my
way.
god.
In all fairness to
Dreams are-
Dreams, it usually just kind of works out that way.
Yeah.
That, like, when we stream, it's just a bad time.
Yeah.
I didn't ask if it was a bad time.
You see, it would require for Dreams to actually enjoy me and Razor.
You see, what I do
you
is
know,
I
can
guilt
I
trip
play
you
games
into
with us?
believing you're the problem, and then you play with me anyway. That's how you do it.
Okay, well, the O2 generators just fucking yanked all the ice out, so we're good.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Just ignore
Should be
it.
fine.
And I'm like, I gaslight people into playing with me.
I fucked up.
Oh, did you
That's
kill the
that's
vehicle?
dreaming ship you're fucking up.
The engines were off. It's fine, I'll fix it.
I'm trying to fix it. If I don't die
if you die,
because
you
of
die.
lag, I should be able to get at least one engine.
I think only the one broke.
Not too shabby. Oh my fucking.
Rub some Windex on it, it helps with the fires. Yeah, we're good. I'm pretty sure it's just the one.
Yep.
The fires also light up the cabin nicely.
God, that takes so much. Holy fuck.
Also, welcome in, Precursor. Nice to meet you. It's those
Alright, I'll leave
fucking
it to you.
tubes, bro.
Oh, sick, right?
Oh, I hate the nighttime. I can't see shit.
I was actually fixing that on our base.
Look, Dreams, it's fine. I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, Jwil. How are you doing? How you doing, Jwil? Get your ass in here, boy. What the fuck? Unless you're at work doing your
I fucked up.
really long shifts. What do you do?
That's the wrong answer. It's unless you hate us because we're
Yeah.
just too cool for school.
Too cool for school.
We're a whole bunch of
Sounds
rad
good.
dads.
I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm fixing it. I fucked up. I hit the wrong button.
God, the sandstorm's just too fucking loud, man.
Yeah, I do not care much for the sandstorms.
Rough in its course and it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Oh, you're out here getting sauce and toss. Oh, happy birthday! Holy shit! Congratulations! You're a year old.
Jwil?
Jwil, yeah. Why did you
Finally.
fucking say shit?
1
Fuck.
year closer to death.
I mean,
Hey, happy birthday.
Jwil hasn't died yet. There's always a possibility that, you know, he's immortal. He hasn't died yet. So,
Yeah, that's what I always
we
say.
can't prove. We can't prove
we
he's
can't
immortal.
prove he's mortal until he dies.
Exactly.
I did, Dreamy. That's exactly what happened. I meant to hit a different key, and I instead hit the key that turns the thrusters off, and I was so close to the ground that I just smacked into it before I could
Sounds
react.
about right.
But it's fine. He's fixed. It's okay, I fixed the problem. If I couldn't fix the problem, then I would not be able to speak to you.
I'd be able to speak to you. I'd be like, hey, Guess who should have been on? Because we crashed your ship and we laughed about it. All the
Dreamy should have been on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tisk tisk.
You know, that would be crazy if, you know, you could actually enact some sort of vengeance on us, but you can't because you're not here.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't blame Dreamy in this case.
Yeah, neither do I.
Dreamy very busy. Yo, it's so fucking dark. I can barely see the rover from over here.
I think since I got the wheels done, as long as I saw off this middle axle, we can actually just start shaping it out. You know.
Yeah. Good luck. I'll help you build. I'll help you build, but I'm not helping you because it's your baby. I'm gonna end up putting some blocks down. You're gonna be like, that looks stupid, and then replacing them. So there's no point. Any amount of work that I attempt to do could be undone. So
You see, what you do is you tell him
But
he
your work
looks
doesn't
stupid,
get-
and then
No.
he'll just leave it be.
His work gives me a baseline to work with. He's the founding engineer, and I'm the architect that builds off of what he does.
So you're stealing his ideas and then changing
Yes.
them a little bit. So
basically,
you can operate it.
basically, I
Plagiarism.
build a giant marble cube, and then Fen creates Michelangelo's David.
Yeah.
But somebody has to
See, now
carve
you
the
get it.
cube first. You know how hard it is to get a solid slab of marble that's like 12 feet high and 5 feet wide that does not have a single crack in it anywhere?
Probably too hard.
It's extremely hard. I know nothing about it, but I can imagine it's really fucking hard. Because marble just kind of does what it wants. It'll just break. It'll just decide, you know what, fuck you. I have a crack in me.
It's just like me. About breaking, not crack. I don't do crack.
Yeah, that's right. I do math. I'm a clean truck.
I get my coke directly
Sounds
from
about
the
right.
CIA.
Can't be cleaner than that.
You can't get any purer. It's that government coke. Wasn't there a whole
right,
show
bitch.
about that recently?
I don't know.
There was a whole
You mean
show.
Breaking Bad?
No, it was pretty recent. There was a whole show about this guy that built a crack empire using the CIA's coke. And it's based on a true story. I can't remember what it's
Or you can
called.
order from it. It'll cost you 40K in shipping, and it's doable. What the fuck, Jwil? I mean, I respect it, but like, still.
Jwil, where are you? Are you stuck in a
They're
hole
at their
again?
They're at their birthday party.
Oh,
with
yeah.
them family.
That's right.
We just talked about it.
I mean, I just assumed, like, okay, well, you can play Space Engineers on your fucking birthday, asshole. But, no, that's right, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Tell your family to go the fuck home.
Yeah, tell him, be like,
Tell them-
sorry,
No,
I
no.
have things I'm doing today.
I'm things. Please don't be quiet after I say that. I don't want to feel awkward.
You're fine, don't worry about it.
I
Probably.
thought it was really funny just to be completely dead silent after you said that.
I know. I'm gonna clip that later, by the way. Energy, fuck off.
You'll know about it later. He'll be like late at night and being like, you know, getting ready for sleep. Be like, fine. Rest.
Man, I really don't want to make a trip to the moon
Don't
tonight.
say anything.
Oh, it's with coworkers, not family. Yeah, fuck family.
Guys, don't fuck your family.
It's not advised.
I'll do what I want with my sister and you can't stop me.
Now if I fuck her first.
Oh, and that just sounds like a good old family reunion.
That's
Gentlemen,
right, we're
please.
brothers. Wait a minute. point to have to pay me a single damn dollar for doing things. You take a sandwich after. No. I'm very sorry. This gas station closed. My apologies.
Not my
Now, what particular Christian are we talking about? Because the different servers have different.
The only Christian boy.
Protestant.
Evangelical, Baptist,
Puritan.
Puritan.
I really hope I offended a few Christians by saying that.
There are a lot of fucking Christians.
That's a big old umbrella.
If you make fun of any denomination of Christianity, just pick one. They will hate you, but some other denomination will welcome you every time.
100%.
It just works out that way.
My mother's side were Baptist, and I was like, you know, it's kind of weird that drowning somebody absolves them of their sin.
It's
I'm like, so when I go to the water pool and you get mad at me when I dunk my sister and try and drown her, you get mad at me, but I'm just trying to absolve her of sin.
Funny how that works.
It's because it's
In the name of the
ceremonial,
Father,
you know?
the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Holy Spirit, not the Holy Ghost.
Some say ghost.
They're wrong.
Some say ghost.
Wrong
Some
enough.
say spirit.
The ones that say ghosts are wrong.
Yeah, we used up all the ice.
God fucking motherfucker. Outstanding.
I am not fixing that tonight. I do not have the energy. It's gonna take me like 2 fucking hours to fly the Yarhar back to the moon, mine the ice, fill it up, and then bring it back. It takes forever.
You're going all the way to the moon for this.
It's the easiest way to get 1,000,000 kilograms of ice.
You know what? Fair. I retract what I was gonna say.
You go to the moon, you mine 1,000,000 kilograms of ice in about 30 seconds, and then you fly it back. But it still takes forever. I don't want to fucking do that. I don't have the energy.
Energy low.
Energy peace.
You know, I feel like we could do with some lights underneath here, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. The answer is yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hoorah! Need some corner light. I need some construction components, motherfucker. Oh, BT dubs. It's been it's been a good decade since I've heard BT dubs. There's an online place where you can buy a marble block in popular sizes of 260 to 330 to 160, 220, 100, 160 centimeters, and weigh around 32 to. Why would you need a marble? I mean, I guess there's people that carve marble sculptures, but that's beside the point. They're kind of.
Also, if you're making marble countertop, you can just get a big block and then cut it as you need it.
Man, this ain't nothing like the marbles I played with growing up.
Most of the marbles you played with growing up were not marble.
No, they're marbles. Shut up.
Yeah, but they're not marble.
They're marbles. That's
Usually
all I
glass.
need. But they're marbles.
I remember there being floodlights in this game. Is that like a DLC thing?
They're being what?
Like, because there's only like 2 light ones.
What the fuck is it
Well,
called?
technically three. There's the double corner, single corner, and the little tiny corner. I remember there being like a stand that like lights everything up more.
There's a spotlight, but those are really big.
Yeah, usually, depending on what you need, you can just use an interior light and then just mess with the settings and it will give you a lot of light.
Yeah.
Mess with the settings.
Like
yeah, in the
the
control panel.
Yeah.
You can increase the range of the light.
Well, I will wait.
And the intensity.
Yeah, that too. You can do a lot of shit. Change the color.
You can also change the color. Oh. It appears that my input is not needed. I'm just a copycat. There we go.
Well, the sun's coming up at least.
Here comes the sun. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Why is there an unfinished blast door edge?
Because I put that there, and I'm getting the material for it.
But why?
That's what I said.
It's a gribbly.
I don't know why, but whenever I hear "Here comes the sun," I think of a nuclear bomb.
What do you think it's about?
The Beatles talking about a new day. But you know, my mind goes to like Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Same thing.
Yeah, for an infinitesimally small moment. Literally an instant.
Oh, dog, it's just like me for real.
Although I'm pretty sure that at its hottest, a nuke is way hotter than the sun. But in an extraordinarily small space for an extraordinarily small amount of time. It's very hot.
Yeah.
Whereas the sun is very hot, but it's very hot all the time.
Yeah.
As opposed to an instant.
I think its thing was like at its like core at the beginning of the blast when it first ignites. I think it's hotter than the core of the sun. But like it doesn't stay that hot. But you know, that fraction of a second you're standing right next to the sun, which essentially the people who were like towards the center of the blast, they didn't even know the bomb dropped. They heard the whistle, they were like, huh? And then the explosion went off, they didn't even realize there was an explosion. They were incinerated immediately.
I feel like what interests me the most is like those like burned in shadows from the explosion.
Yeah, the negatives.
The what?
The shadows. The light was so bright that the shadows stained whatever surface they were on permanently. And it's a fucking freaky thing.
Yeah.
There was also that one guy that was in both cities.
Yeah. He survived 2 nuclear explosions. He
Mm-hmm.
was on a business trip to Nagasaki, and then, or he was on a
Reverse.
business trip to one of them.
Hiroshima was first.
He was on a business trip to Hiroshima, and then he was like, "Oh fuck! Thank God I survived that. Good thing I'm going home to Nagasaki."
Surprise, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. He got hit
He
with
was
2
like-
nukes.
And survived them both.
Yep. One of those situations where a man is both incredibly lucky and unlucky at the same time, depending on your perspective.
I think I would consider it lucky.
Unlucky because he was in both cities, as opposed to literally anywhere else. Lucky because he did not die. despite being in both cities.
England.
Yeah, nukes are fucking rough.
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
they're indiscriminatory. They kill everything.
Mm-hmm. Just
That's
like
why
my
they're
mama.
rough.
Wait a minute.
What's gonna be insane is when we develop a thing that does no structural damage to any structure. No damage to any structure whatsoever. No shattered glass, nothing. It just kills every living thing there.
It's like the
So you'll have
flesh eater
those-
virus in Warhammer.
We already have it, technically.
Yeah, there are quite a few very dangerous bioweapons that the US has.
I think what it's called is an oxygen bomb. And it doesn't blow up necessarily the same way. It, like, sends out a shockwave that, like, it's like a giant sphere of, like, a 10-mile radius that just sucks in all the oxygen within that 10-mile
Wow.
radius. Whether it's in your lungs or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you just die.
What if you hold your breath?
You're still dead. It's good. Your lungs will implode.
That's H2S gas does a similar thing. It's one of the reasons why construction sites are always so worried about it, or drilling. Like if you're drilling for natural gas or oil,
Mm-hmm.
H2S gas is your lungs treat it similarly to air, but it's heavier than air. So
That's heavy.
even if you hold your, like, you keep your mouth shut and you hold your nose, if there's enough H2S saturation, it will forcibly replace the oxygen in your lungs, and then you die. Because you can't breathe.
You know, the best way to die out in space is literally don't hold your breath.
Let it all out. You
Just
know?
let it all out.
Let it
Because if
go.
you hold your breath, the air will actually expand in your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So the safest way for you to live longest out there is to exhale everything. But
I
then
feel like I
again-
wouldn't want to live longer in that situation.
Well, also, it
particularly.
helps that you might not explode quite as violently.
Yes, it will be excruciatingly painful for like I'd say like a minute max.
I mean, your chances of survival are still extraordinarily small at that point, but
Well,
they
you've
are
already been
slightly
exposed to a
better.
vacuum. Your eyes are probably popped out of your skull, boiling probably.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Your blood
you're
will boil pretty
blind.
quick.
Your skin has no oxygen left in it, so it's like it starts to freeze, and you have frostbite all over your body, and
Really, we're
Yeah.
talking about the difference between you're going to die 99.99999% of the time and 99.9998% of the time. Like, you're not improving your odds that much, but the death may be less painful this way.
yeah, you'll just not be able to breathe, and then eventually fade.
Yeah. And you'll go into shock pretty quick, so...
Yeah.
You know, once your skin and blood start boiling, you go into shock pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yep. You won't live long enough to, you won't be conscious long enough to suffer.
But, yeah, H2S is fucking scary as shit. It's
Sounds
the...
scary as shit.
So, anywhere where you might encounter it, like in a drilling site, is the most common. Or chemical plants that handle a lot of chemicals, H2S might be a byproduct sometimes. The general, because it's heavy, but it's still a gas, it kind of like flows like water in the air.
Right.
And because of that, as the saturation grows, it will always be more of it at the ground than higher. Okie dokie, Dreams. Enjoy your sleep. I love you. I hope we get to hang out this weekend. Mwah.
Dreams, you're fucking stinky.
Very smelly.
And because, like, just inhaling a little bit of it is enough to drive the oxygen out of your lungs, and now you can't get it out, right?
Right.
The general safety guidelines are, oh, the H2S alarm went off on your person, the one you're wearing, right? First thing you do, check the batteries. Okay. Second thing you do, what way is the wind blowing? Run in the opposite fucking direction, and if you're running with someone and they fall, don't stop. They're already dead. Keep going.
Oh.
Because the H2S saturation at the floor is significantly higher, enough that, like, it's going to fill their lungs the second they hit the ground. And they're dead. There's nothing you can do. Just go. But if you bend over to try to help them, now the H2S is going to fill up your lungs. You're also going to die. So it's in everybody's best interests if... I heard a thump.
It's nothing. Keep going.
It is in everyone's best interests if, when running from H2S and someone falls, you just leave them. Because trying to help them will more than likely just get you killed too.
It's sort of like the plane scenario, right? Where you're like, put on your own safety mask type
Right.
of thing.
You put on your own oxygen mask first before helping anyone else. Because if you pass out, then, well, now 2 people are fucked, right?
Yeah.
But H2S is really fucking scary shit. There's a bunch of skits on YouTube of, and a couple of real scenarios where, like, an H2S alarm went off, and you can just see the instant fear in people's faces. The, oh, fuck.
Like, fuck. You know?
And there's a bunch of skits of people, like, freaking out, like, doing comedy skits on it. It's like the alarm goes off, and they're like, oh god, I'm gonna die. On and on and on. But, yeah, fucking H2S is some scary shit. It's also one of those gases where if the lighting conditions are right, you can see it. Because it's so heavy.
Watch your death come towards you.
Right. Those drilling sites also have H2S alarms all over the facility, and they are required by law to have several flags up so that people can see the direction of the wind from anywhere on the site. For that reason. So that, oh, the alarm goes off. Which flag is closest to me? Look at that flag, it's going in that direction. Okay, run the other way.
So you're running away from the wind.
Correct. Because the H2S is always going to go in the direction of the wind. It's heavier than air, but it still gets pushed by
you're
air.
Running the same direction as the wind.
Running into the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the wind is pushing the H2S to the east, you want to run to the west. Because that means that the H2S saturation is increasing eastwards. Right? Also, generally, you want to try not to go downhill.
Well, yeah, it's gonna, if it's a heavy,
But-
if it's a heavy gas, like, you don't want to go downhill because it's gonna go faster than you. You want to go
Right.
uphill.
Right. They have all, like, whole training courses that are basically like, look, if you're on the second floor of a building and the H2S alarm goes off, you're probably fucked. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot.
If you can climb up to the roof, great. Otherwise, I mean, you could try your luck, right?
You could always just try and survive. Who knows? In the face of imminent death, you could run really fast. Because no matter what shape people are in, if it's death or run, most people will just run as fast as humanly possible. That may not be fast enough.
It might not. I mean, once that life or death adrenaline kicks in, all bets are off. People will literally run themselves to death.
Yep.
The adrenaline and just the way the human body can just take its limiters off is astounding.
Yep.
It's like, sir, you've been bleeding through the bottom of your feet for 4 hours because you've been running so hard for so long. Wait, what? Holy shit.
That's why I believe that there's like ghosts or demons or spirits and stuff like that, because I've heard stories of people going walks on the woods and stuff like that. Like there was this one girl, she was like going through the woods, and this was her testimony, but they found her after 3, 4, like 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
But she went out for a walk in the woods in her family's privately owned woods, so there shouldn't be anybody there, and like it's fenced off and everything, and you know it's but she was walking in the woods and she heard a bell, like a tiny, like one of those little ding ding ding, like little tiny bells, like a dinner bell type of thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, what the hell? So she's like looking around and she's like, I don't see anything. And then she hears the bell again and it's closer. And she's like, and then she like looks into the woods and she sees like somebody standing out there in a giant black cloak. And like they're wearing like some deer antler mask. And there's like bells attached to their horns. And so she just starts running and she hears these bells and she hears like leaves and sticks cracking as like it's coming closer, and she ran like that for 5 days. And at one point she thought it was so close to her that she threw her backpack so she could run faster, because she thought she's like, it felt like he was breathing on my neck, like he was behind me as I was sprinting full force. And they found her like hiding in a hollowed out tree, and she had like, the only reason she was still alive and didn't die from like starvation was because she found like a stash of pound cakes that somebody had put in the woods as she was running away. And she was like, I swear, the moment, like, I remember running and then I hid here and then you guys found me. It was like that quickly. Like she hid there and then she just stayed silent, the bells stopped, and then they walked over and they saw her. She was terrified of them at first because she thought that was who was chasing her the entire time. But yeah, it's stuff like that. I'm like, you know, something had to be wrong for her fight or flight to kick in that bad for that long. Like something terrified her to that point. It's crazy. And running for 5 days straight, like no sleep, like fractional sleep, I guess.
It probably didn't even feel like it 5 days passed.
No.
Yeah, that'll happen. I mean, even in more normal, like, soldiers in battle, sometimes it feels like 100 years, and sometimes it's like 12 hours have passed, and it feels like it's only been a few minutes. Our perception of time gets all fucked up when we're in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my life is in danger. How much time is passing is no longer relevant. I have other problems.
Yeah.
I have something trying to eat me.
Hi.
Have you heard the story of the kids in Australia that went swimming in a river?
No.
They were motorbiking, and
they went
it was
swimming
like this,
in their
it was
motorbikes.
right next to this lake. I think it was, I forget what the river was called. It's on a YouTube channel, so you can hear it if you want to like hear the full thing. But I'm obviously not going to remember all of it. But
Yeah.
essentially, these kids were motorbiking on this trail and having a lot of fun. And afterwards, they were covered in mud.
Mm.
And they're
Yeah.
like, well, we should probably, clean ourselves off because we're all soaked. And they're like, well, the only place nearby is this river. And the water over there is like pitch black. And it's relatively slow moving. But like the edge, you don't know where the edge is because of the grass. It's so thick that at some point you'll know that it stops because you'll just fall into the water.
Right.
And so they were going around, and the one person found the water. He fell into the water and like grabbed a tree trunk and climbed back up. And everything was fine. They were like, yeah, whatever. And one of them was starting to. One guy, like, they swam out a little bit, and as you can probably tell, that's probably when it turned bad. One of them got pulled under the water, and he started going down the river and like coming up periodically, and then getting pulled back down. And then he was like screaming for help, and and then like one person would go to get him, and then he would also disappear under the water. And then at some point, like the water started rushing, and it swept all those that were on shore, like on the edge of the water. It kicked the water from underneath them and sent them down, and they were all going down the river at this point. And there were 4 of them, and there was the first guy and then the other 3, and so they managed to hold onto a tree and climb up into the tree, and they were like looking around frantically for their friend. They're like, did he make it? Like, because midway through like the thing, they were trying to find somewhere to grab, and they figured out we should probably grab something very fast because they see something moving in the water. And it was a giant crocodile.
Yikes.
Just swimming in the water right towards them. And so all 4 of them were trying to swim back, as like that guy was like getting pulled over, and they were trying to rescue him, but then like the water swept him away. And so they're looking around for their friend, and so 3 of them got on the tree. This like old gnarly, like what you'd imagine is like a swamp tree. What do you think of when you think of the word swamp tree? And 3 of them, they're looking around for him frantically, and then they see his yellow shirt hit the surface. And then, but also at the same time, as his yellow shirt hits the surface, they see that he is in the mouth of this massive croc. And he is not moving.
Yikes.
And the croc is looking at them with this man in his mouth and staring at them, and then just goes back down and sinks with him in his mouth. And then, as they're like they're freaking out because the storm is coming, and the water is like rushing, so they can't get into the water. So they're stuck in the middle of this river on a tree, trying to figure out what the hell to do. and like the water is rising, and as they're like, we got to make a swim for it, or you know, we got to do something. We can't just sit here, because like very few people know we're out here.
Yeah.
And as they're about to make a swim, like, or like they're like moving around in the tree, and one of the branches like hits, like a broken like twig hits the water, you just see the croc without the dude surfaces back up at the water. He was waiting there the entire time for them to try and make a run for it, and he proceeded to sit in the water staring at them for like an entire day and a half before rescuers came. And he was still there when the rescuers got there. So like, and they were afraid like the crocodile would attack and flip the boat. He was that big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they brought a helicopter to try and airlift him out, but the helicopter also nearly blew them out of the tree and into the crocodile's mouth.
That's exciting.
But it did end up scaring off the croc when the helicopter tried to lower itself over, and it scared him off.
Yeah.
And so that's the only way they came in, is because then the boats could come in and grab them out of the tree and then bring them to safety. But the entire night, as it was storming and lightning, all they could see was like the flash, during that flash of lightning, was they'd see the croc's eyes staring at them the entire night, waiting for one of them to fall out of the tree or the waters to get high enough for him to be able to jump up and grab one.
Yeah, you don't fuck with crocs or water. They will fuck you up, both of them.
They're smart. They're smart fuckers.
Especially water. Water is very smart.
I remember one of my friends being like, what is the largest creature that you think you could take in a fight?
Barehanded?
Barehanded.
Maybe a
in
raccoon?
their environment.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, for real.
Because a raccoon even will fuck you up. And I think even that's pushing it. You know?
And then we got into like some sort of argument, because I was like, well, it depends, because if we're talking like,
do I have prep time?
Amphibious animals, like, are they gonna, if I'm fighting them in their environment, are they fighting on land, or am I fighting them in the water? Because technically both are their environments. Because if it's like on land, I could probably take a croc.
I don't think I could take a croc. Maybe like a baby. Get behind it, just grab its tail.
You can pick up a baby.
Like a small croc, sure.
I mean, it's only
like an adolescent, maybe.
I think, like, don't they have like no opening power?
Yes, they have zero opening power. You can, with one hand, you can hold their mouth shut.
And use
now,
the other hand
prying
to
it
pickle them
off,
right.
You're never getting it off your hand. It's taking your hand. You're just gonna have to do some damage while you can, I guess. Try and crush its eyes. I don't know.
Sometimes with crocs, if they're small enough, you can also grab them by the tail.
Yeah.
But once they hit a certain size, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, because they'll spin.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're fucked, because now they have your leg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we're talking like an adolescent croc, maybe. But anything that's even approaching full size, there's no fucking way.
Animal. It doesn't have to be like, you know, like...
I don't even think I could take a child polar bear.
I could take a polar
even
bear.
A child polar bear will fuck you up.
I could take a newborn, fresh baby polar bear.
A polar bear that just came out of the womb.
Yes,
8
literally
seconds ago.
I could take that on.
Fucker just joined the world. I could
I'm
maybe.
ending-
I
I'm
could
ending his
may. I could may.
subscription
I
to
could.
life.
I could maybe do a newborn polar bear, but any polar bear that's more than like 2 or 3 days old, and all bets are off. Those suckers will fuck you up.
I can take a polar bear.
It's because their skin gets really thick, and you know when they're newborn, that's the only chance where you have strength enough to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
A full-grown polar bear, it could literally sit there
Man.
and let you attack it barehanded. It'd be like, all right, I'll give you 10 minutes to do whatever you got to do, and you just. He would sit there, and then after 10 minutes, he'd just rip you in half.
A full-grown polar bear, 10 minutes, where you can just do whatever you want as long as it's bare hands. Yes. You probably still couldn't even do anything to that fucker.
No. His skin is so thick, and his fat is so, like, the amount of, like, thick blubber that's on them, and, like, their bone strength, you're not doing anything. Not barehanded, you're not. If they gave you a knife, you could win.
Yeah,
maybe.
If they gave you the 10 minutes and the knife.
Yeah, with a knife. I would not even want to be a polar bear's enemy if I have a 44 Magnum and 200 yards. Even in that scenario, there's still a chance. You know
what the sad part is? Even if you had 200 yards, you'd have to wait for him to charge you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not hitting him at 200 yards.
No.
And the bullet's not even going to go through the bone, even if you hit his skull every single time.
Mm-hmm.
If you had aimbot on him,
the biggest difference is 200 yards gives you time to line up a shot, as opposed to... Because if it's 30, 40 yards away and the polar bear charges you, it's going to be on top of you in 2 seconds. Yeah. Right? So those fuckers can haul ass.
Yeah.
200 yards is, it's charging me from 200 yards. I have like 2 or 3 seconds to prepare to shoot it. As opposed to, I need to, at 100 or 50 yards, it's like, I need to get the gun up and just start shooting. Because I don't have time. You know? Like, polar bears are fucking scary.
I wouldn't use a gun against a polar bear. If I had to fight one, I would say give me a metric shit ton of bear mace.
Yeah.
Like the strongest bear mace you can have.
Yeah, I don't know how...
And like as much tranquilizer as you have. So I'd be like, alright, I have a tranq gun in one hand and bear mace in the other.
I know that bear mace works really well on black and brown bears, but I feel like it's not quite as effective once you scale up to the big boys.
Effective. It's just hasn't been tested many times.
Fair.
Because, generally, if a polar bear sees you, it stalks you, and then once you're, like, asleep or something like that, that's when it fucks you.
Yeah.
Just, like,
it's also...
goes to your tent, picks you up by the head.
It's also like, rare for people that are in polar bear country to have bear mace as their weapon, as opposed to a rifle. Right? There's a certain point where, like, I'm fishing in the wilderness in Alaska, and it's like, no, you've upgraded to a proper rifle at that point. You're not taking any chances. There are so many animals out in the wilderness there that are just, they weigh as much as a fucking truck. You don't take the chance.
Yeah.
Anything that's not like out there, anything that's not like a fish will fuck you up.
If I had to
Elk,
take a knife
deer,
to fight something big. So you can pick one melee weapon to fight a polar bear with. What are you fighting a polar bear with?
Brass knuckles.
Spear. Some kind.
Spear? I'm picking a diving knife.
Yeah, that would also be a good idea.
Because diving knives have CO2 cartridges in it.
Yep, that they do.
And I stab it, press a button, it shoots a whole bunch of CO2 into the polar bear and makes him explode from the inside.
Excitable.
It's a one shot, but that one shot is gonna fuck him up. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna remember me, bitch.
Yeah, in general, if you need to use a melee weapon to fight a creature that is bigger than you, a spear wins 9 times out of 10. The extra reach is just too valuable.
Well, I guess.
That's
Yeah,
in my. That's
I can
how I
see
see
that.
it. I mean, that's why
You have one
they used
shot.
to. Yeah,
You
you
have
get
to
one
wait
shot
for
no
them
matter
to
what.
charge you, and then hope that you hit it directly in the center of its chest.
Mm-hmm. I
So
mean,
you
that's how they
can
used to
impale
hunt
its heart.
boar. They had those boar lances,
Yeah.
massive
But
spears.
boar are vicious. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Like they'll eat you without a second thought.
yeah, they're fucking awful, boar. They will fuck you up.
But like they're easy to see coming, and if you have something that can keep the distance or like keep them at a distance, then you win. That's why they use lances to hunt boars. But specifically the ones that they used to hunt boars had like spikes or barbs in them, so you could impale them, and then it would get stuck, and they can't fight you because you just hold them at a distance, and they would just bleed out.
Yep.
Where like your friends would come over and start stabbing them with the spear.
Yeah, it always comes down to the human problem of I cannot reliably kill this thing the first time. So keep it at a distance and let it bleed to death. Like fighting woolly mammoths. You just keep throwing spears at them until they die.
Which honestly is kind of fucked. Imagine,
Which could
like,
take
if you
2 or
had a
3
whole bunch
days.
Imagine if you had a whole bunch of creatures like the size of your foot throwing like very sharp needles at you constantly, and they're like, just keep
For
throwing him at them
days.
until he dies.
It is awful. And every time you run off, because you're faster than them, right? They always come back. As soon as you stop to rest, they start throwing these little fucking needles at you again.
That's why humans were the Slenderman of the fucking, like, the older age.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, we had indefinite stamina. And we're just like, well, we can run for days, and we don't need to sleep. You do. We can go a few days without sleep and be okay.
Yeah,
You cannot.
It's one of the more interesting story bits to work with for sci-fi stuff is the human stamina factor.
Yeah.
Where you have I mean, in general, every sci-fi universe has its own Krogan or fuck, what the hell are the Star Trek ones called? Klingons.
Klingon.
Yeah, Klingon.
Every sci-fi universe has its Klingon, right?
Mhm.
But
like they're just super tough.
the super tough, they have 3 fucking hearts, shit like that.
Yeah.
But usually humanity is either the insect, in the sense that there's just so many of us, or
Yeah, we're the ants.
yeah, we're the ants. Like, yeah, the Klingon is as strong as 10 men, but we have 100 men, so
He's not gonna live. He may take down 10 men with him, but we have 90 more men.
exactly. Or we're
And
the
those 10 men you killed will be back by we'll get 10 more by like
tomorrow.
an hour. Yeah, tomorrow. Well, tomorrow there
Fully
will be
grown.
1,000 men. And
Yeah,
that's what makes humanity fucking awful. I remember watching this this TikTok of like this alien species that looked a lot like humans, and they were like, we sent our like we sent our weapon, our biological weapon, to kill every sentient being on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was talking to him, and then he's like, we have the same DNA. She's like, what's your bioweapon? Did it fail? And he's like, no. In fact, it worked better than anticipated. You are our bioweapon. Do you think that humans built the underwater cities? Do you think that humans built the pyramids? Type of thing. And it's like, no. You were brought here. You killed all the sentient life on this planet and took over. You are our perfect weapon.
That's a cool
kinda
one.
I was like,
I like that one. That's cool too.
That's pretty fucking metal.
Like, yeah, no, you guys, You guys were so good at your job that you killed all sentient life on the planet and then forgot about it.
Like, you don't know that you killed all the life on
We
like,
fully
you
expected it to take much longer.
Yeah, they were like, we expected it to take 2,000 years, and that was about the time it would have taken for our Armada to get here. But you succeeded way above schedule. You were very effective. They're like, we removed your psionic abilities, but we kept your intelligence, like your level of sentience and your breeding ability, like your primal instinct, essentially. So it like unlocked your ability to, want to make more and more. And so like ants, you'll just swarm any sentient beings on the planet, and they just can't kill you because you reproduce too quickly. But I thought that was funny.
That is a pretty good one.
We are the biological weapon.
The other fun thing is when they will use the human stamina thing in sci-fi war, where it's humanity versus some other species that is faster and stronger than they are in every way. But if that species' sleep cycle requires 8 hours regularly, we're going to win that war. Because we have a massive advantage.
Because we don't need to sleep.
Right.
As much. There is a point where the body will shut down. Just period. The human body will just say, yeah, no, we're done. It's time to stop. But, I mean, human beings that are in excellent shape, they can go for days on very little sleep, like 1 to 2 hours. And any species that can't do that is at an enormous disadvantage. Yep.
Or how it works in like siege warfare, where if this species, this enemy species they're so much stronger and faster than we are, but they have a caloric intake of like 8,000 calories a day just to survive, right?
We'll just out-hunt them.
So we just siege them every single time because they starve to death too fast.
That's actually what happened to saber-toothed tigers. Back in the day, like, saber-toothed tigers were the apex predator, but we just out-hunted them, and they never found enough food, so their predatory, like, their whole thing, just their numbers dwindled till there was nothing left. Because we killed everything in their territory. And whenever they would come to attack us, we would just spear them. Maybe they'd get, like, 1 or 2 of us, but, they would be critically injured. And there would be like 200 more of us.
Right.
And then they're like, oh shit, we can't out hunt these guys because they'd kill 1 of us. We'd kill like 3 or 4 of them, and then 10 of them would be replaced. And it's just like, oh, well, I guess fuck me then.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it pretty much works. You can't win when if it's, you're an apex predator, but, like, the enemy has 30 or 40 of them. So if you kill 2 or 3, it's not enough.
They just didn't have the power to overtake all of us, so they're just like, well, fuck. I guess we'll, die.
There was another fun one that, did not do this directly, a story I read, but it was basically, it's the human survivability in these kinds of situations makes us excellent guerrilla fighters.
Yeah.
And it was a sci-fi war where we were getting our shit kicked in.
Oh,
but
yeah.
As soon as we realized that we couldn't win the war conventionally, every single human world became an Iwo Jima, basically. And they had all kinds of plans and backup plans to just make holding every human planet impossible. Because you would conquer the planet, you'd defeat the main garrison force after a grueling battle, right? And as you're trying to use the planet to build up infrastructure and stuff, 3 months later, oh, the humans just popped out of holes in the ground that they've been hiding in for 3 fucking months.
Holy shit.
And it became a war of... Is that a parachute?
Yeah, that's an unknown signal.
That's funny, I don't see the signal. I see the parachute, but not the signal.
That's weird.
It became a war of, like, the main alien force could not keep advancing because they needed to garrison every conquered world with so many soldiers just to be able to use the world they conquered. Which was also an interesting take on it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting.
Where
Like
did
the whole
fucking
fact that it's
thing
like,
go?
oh, you can kill them. It's just unlikely because they're just so fucking many.
Rainbow boots.
Outstanding.
Ah, 5,000 credits.
Nice. That's pretty solid.
Don't know what to use it on, but we got it.
Ooh, do we? No, we still don't. We don't have those. Yeah, no, nothing. What was that?
What was what?
I don't know. I'm just hallucinating.
My team, they're never here.
Well, if it's any consolation, we haven't made a lot of progress trying to build this fucking rover. It's all we've been doing for like 3 months.
I'm just
trying to get this
use
ship
up
down.
everything I got and then move on. All by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself.
We're right here. What are you talking about, buddy?
I think
I'm
I'll
the
put
only
some
red
more.
rocket.
What's that?
I'm
Sorry.
just a lone red rocket, you know.
The lone red rocket and the 2 blue balls.
Alright, that has to be the name of your stream now.
Well, from now on, that's what it's gonna be. Yeah. Hold on.
I don't know how far you'll be able to get with that for Twitch strikes you the fuck down. I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
That one's one of those things that's right on the line of like, I don't know. I'm not sure how Twitch would feel about that. It's an iffy one.
It's been done. It's been done.
But,
We'll find out in time.
yeah, I love reading those humanity fuck yeah stories. They're great. Some of the good ones are really good.
Well, yeah, they're good ones.
Like the one where I think I've told the story on this series at some point. The one that's a portal to, it's an isekai kinda, right?
Yeah.
Portal to a fantasy world where magic exists opens in like downtown LA, and it's like Gate. The U.S. responds by sending Marines through.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right.
And
Is that untapped resources?
yeah, pretty much.
America! Fuck yeah!
Eventually
That's it.
discover that the portal was opened by this one species that's being wiped out by elves.
Fucking
Because
elves.
they were so fucking
Right here.
desperate that they tried some, like, dark forbidden magic and opened a huge portal to try to escape through. Because they were like, fuck it, we're gonna get genocided. What like, who cares at this point?
Right.
And accidentally summoned the United States Marine Corps.
And then we fucked them.
Even
I
worse.
think that was an anime called Gate, wasn't it?
It's basically Gate, yeah. It's a different story, but it's basically Gate.
I remember you asked about like anime that like involved military, and I'm like, Gate's probably the best you're gonna get, which is unfortunate.
It is, because there are things about Gate that I like, and there are things about Gate that I don't like. And the thing that I really like about this story is that for the first couple of battles, the highly magically driven elves that were trying to wipe out the race that opened the portal don't really know what to do about an Abrams tank or an Apache, right?
Yeah.
But after the first couple of battles, they start to adjust. So the Marine Corps comes through the gate, battles start happening, and within like 2 to 3 weeks, it's like, oh, okay, no, they've learned. They've adjusted their magic. They've come up with new solutions to, okay, well, how do you deal with an Abrams tank? Right? And so we kicked their shit in the story for a couple of weeks. And then they adapted. Whereas in Gate, it just never stops being a kicking their shit in.
Well, that's because knowing our military, we would definitely collude with the species that was being eradicated, and
Right.
then we would be like, all right, so what are like some of the things that can help us defeat them? Like, because this is a new world, it has different elements, it has different everything.
There are different rules.
You know,
And they
different
do
rules.
do some of that where, so very early on, the Marine
If there-
platoons
there's, like,
start
anti-magic
getting,
stuff.
right. Well, Marine platoons start getting soldiers from that species that was getting eradicated, like at least one assigned to every platoon, to be like, okay, well, if elves are using invisible magic, like, there's nothing we have that can see through that, right?
Mhm.
But the natives have magic for disabling that, right?
yeah,
It's like, we can't do anything, but they can. Okay, so we're going to start assigning liaisons to as many platoons, and if possible, down to the squad level, just to keep them around, right?
yeah.
Because they can handle these things. They've been doing it in this fucking 50-year genocide, for
I mean,
a while.
The elves are gonna lose regardless, because we have an entire world of people that would be backing this. Could be like, oh, because I can already see the propaganda that we would put in place to be like, oh, these elves are horrible beings. They're murdering, and then they'd have those species come in and try and, tell a sob story about how they've been slaughtered and massacred and babies and stuff like that.
It
And
would
then
not
it
be
would rile
hard
the
to
world
drum up
And
support.
then, yeah, it wouldn't be that hard. And then the moment that we did, we would be able to enforce. The UN would get involved because and that would be the world military, and then they would just be fucked because they would maybe wipe out a couple battalions or something like that. And as we could be like, yeah, we can move into this world, so now you can, so you're not feeling like we're taking away your son. You can live in this world with them, and they have more drive to protect something. And
Right.
and then be like, oh, it would be a matter of time, but within a year, I feel like the elves would surrender or try and sue for peace, or we would genocide them.
The old reverse genocide. I never see
we
it
would-
coming.
Yeah, we'd pull out the no you card and be like, no, you're gonna be genocided today. And they're like,
Whoopsie.
Oopsie.
is that a tank?
But yeah, I really liked how it was a very early, the US military just fucked them up super hard. And a lot of that just came down to the fact that the enemy that they were fighting before the portal opened was, like, defeated and broken, you know? So the elves were like, this is not our primary concern. We're just doing cleanup duty, right?
Yeah.
And then, oh no, the US Marine Corps is here. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, we lost.
Wait a
We
minute.
don't lose.
But they adapt very quickly. And then the United States generals then adapt very quickly to be like, shit, okay, we don't have our technological advantage as strongly anymore. We need to start working more closely with the natives so that they can help us with these things that we just don't understand, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Which is smart.
a bunch of Marines were just hanging out in a secure area, and then all of a sudden they were all dead, and there was no sign of the enemy at all. Right? It's like, well, what the fuck do you do? Well, you talk to the natives, because they've been dealing with this shit. But there was a back and forth of both sides adapting to each other that made that short story infinitely more interesting than Gate to me.
I mean, Gate doesn't really set the bar very high. They try and
Yeah.
make it very anime-esque.
It's very anime, and it's very much Japanese Defense Force propaganda.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: it's anime and it's Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sounds
mean,
like
I
it
don't
might be a
blame
big
them.
factor.
I don't blame them. It's an anime
Yeah, book,
made by the
my friend.
Japanese. It's like, yeah, okay, that's exactly what I expect. I just wish it were better. You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting when the technology advantage, you have on one side you have tanks and aircraft and mortars and like rifles and shit. And then on the other side, you have the ability to make yourself 100% invisible. And the ability for just any average person to suddenly explode into a massive fireball. It's like, if you're trying to occupy a city as the United States in this fantasy world, you could, every single person that enters that city, you could strip them down bare ass naked and check every single item they have. They walk into the city, 30 seconds later, they explode. And, like, you can't, if you don't have anyone magical with you, you can't do anything about that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's no technology behind it. They don't
It's
have to carry a
magic.
bomb. They are the bomb, right?
You don't
Infinitely more interesting.
Man, the TSA would have a serious issue on their hands.
Yeah. Like,
Oh,
if I know anything from, oh god, what is the name of that fucking game?
I don't know.
There's a game, I can't remember the name of, where technology, like, they hit an industrial revolution. And almost immediately, society is just super racist against any magically inclined people. So
That's
they
right.
have steam trains. Well, magic fucks with the engine. So anyone that could be magical, like a wizard or an elf or anything, is automatically taken to the back of the train so that they're as far away from the engine as possible. And it would probably be the same thing. Is like, if any elf could just take out a city block, we wouldn't let them into the city. Period. Right?
Yeah.
It would just come down to that.
Because all it would take is one.
It would literally just take one.
And the fear would do itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I put a bunch of steel plates in
Awesome. Thank you.
production. I think we need them. Let me see what else we need.
Lots of girders, interior plates, a little bit of bulletproof glass.
We got a ton of that.
Motors, construction components. I feel like the major one's gonna be steel plates. That's
It's always the major
we're gonna
one.
reactor components are also gonna be necessary.
I'm just gonna put in 10k steel plates. Problem
Okay.
solved.
Yeah. This big front area above the first suspension, I kind of want it to be like an engine bay and control zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you kind of see what I'm putting together.
Yeah, I see where you're going for.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
Are we shopping at the same Blockbuster Video?
Oh, block.
I miss Blockbuster. I miss being able to just, like...
So do its shareholders.
I miss being able to just, like... The Blockbuster was only, like, 4 minutes up the road. Like, it was really close. You could basically bike to it.
Yeah.
I miss just being like, you know what, I kind of want to play a new game. I'm gonna go up to Blockbuster, give them $2.
Oh my
And then I have something to do for the next week. You know? It was great.
Yeah, like, oh, the newest game came out. I'm gonna go over to Blockbuster and just rent it for a little
Oh, well,
bit,
when it came to new games, they would never fucking have them. Because they were always rented out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But...
Well, I already have completed everything I wanted to do.
It was nice for older games. Gamefly had the same problem. There were so many games on Gamefly that were always checked out. So, like, you could make a list of, here are the games that I'd like to play, and you put, like, 50 games on the list, and only the last, like, 5 would ever get sent to you. Because the other 40 were always constantly checked out. And it was awful.
I guess I'll make this because I can.
Yeah, why not? Big yawn.
What are they gonna do? Stop me?
Yes. Surprise, bitch.
I'm the only one for my team to show up.
Now you know how I felt last week.
Alright, this middle component, this middle area, I kind of want the undercarriage to be like, maybe like a little living zone kind of cryo area split. On top can be kind of like we can like land like little ships on top, I guess. Kind of have to be open. And then we can be all like all of the refineries, the cargo kind of.
I'm using all of our resources. Nobody can stop me. I'm a god. I am your god now.
You're a god now. That's so funny.
I remember the other thing I wanted to talk
Smite.
about. So, you know the Dilbert guy? The guy that made Dilbert?
I have no idea what that is.
Dilbert was a comic. It was a newspaper comic. Back when those were a thing. And it focused on this guy and working in an office, like office life. It was very popular. Anyway, the guy that created the Dilbert comic strip is, like, a fucking Nazi.
Huh?
He wasn't that bad back then, but as time has gone on, he has become a lot more radical.
Can someone clip that, please? Sorry to like cut you off, but you said he was a Nazi, and then my cheer sound went off because someone donated a biddy. And it was a bunch of people shouting, "Yeah!"
Oh my god!
He was a Nazi. Yay! No! No! Yay!
Yeah, can someone
Clip
that?
it.
Holy
Clip it.
So he wrote a couple of really bad books.
Right. The biggest man. Nah.
And in one of those books, there is an idea that he had that he executes on extremely poorly because he's a bad writer.
Right.
And he went into writing the books with, like, I want to tell this atheistic, fascist message, as opposed to write a good book. Right? Well, anyway, so this one idea he had that was really good for a story was, God created the universe because the only challenge for an omnipotent, all-knowing being is to somehow kill itself. And that God created the universe in order to die.
I mean, it's
so our whole purpose that
interesting.
he made us was to kill him.
Yes, that's the idea.
Energy low.
And the execution is very bad because
It sounds
not a
like
good writer.
good theory,
But
but like,
you could do some interesting stuff with that.
Yeah.
That, like, well, God created us so that we would eventually kill God. And you can then use that to explain certain theocratic inconsistencies. Such as, well, if God created the universe, why did he fill it with so much pain and suffering? Why did he give us the
Why
ability to
piss us
suffer
off?
so much? And that's, like, the idea that, like, well, if the universe was kind, we would never get strong enough or hateful enough to want to kill God. That it was necessary.
Thank you, Zero. I love you.
And you can do some interesting shit with that. Story-wise, you could come up with some cool shit.
Yeah.
But obviously, he did not do that because he's a fucking hack fascist prick.
Yo, fuck those rules.
But
I need to hide in a cryo chamber for a minute.
there was another really dumb thing he did. So basically, one of the main, like, story bits is that there's this massive holy war going on between Islam and Christianity, and in the future. And all of the Christian nations have basically handed their sovereignty over to the head general, like the commander-in-chief, right? And this is a really dumb thing where that commander-in-chief, General whatever, I can't remember his name, hired a guy specifically to kill him if he ever became too power hungry. So the general has this guy with a gun that follows him around everywhere to kill the general if the general ever becomes too power hungry.
That's like a big old deterrent right there, right?
And it's so fucking silly. And again, because Dilbert Guy is a bad writer, the way that the general picked this person is that he specifically picked a person that killed his parents. Because the general figured, oh, if this guy is willing to murder his parents, then no matter how much time he spends around me, he will kill me. Right? Like, any attachment will not matter.
Huh.
It's so fucking silly.
He takes such a brilliant concept then he just
It's like, oh, well, he killed his parents. Oh, that makes him perfect for the job. That means that, you know, he has to spend all of his time with me. Like, we have to do everything together, right? He'll never become attached. Because he killed his parents. It's so fucking stupid.
I think it is lagging very hard.
In Space Engineers or Discord?
a story. It's
I'm guessing both.
It is lagging very hard for me.
Okay. I will go into the ship and park my ass.
I tried to weld something and it just stayed at 0%, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. And then I went and tried to weld something else, and it was like, nope. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna stand here for a little bit.
Yeah, it does that. Hold on. I'm gonna go to a cryopod and save. Let me know. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
I mean, it's back, but
Oh, okay.
it stopped for a little while. I was like,
Yeah,
my body.
Space Engineer's netcode is not perfect.
Really? Still in beta.
It fucking might as well be. If you told me that Space Engineers was in early access, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That checks out.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Everything's done. Oh. I need to run and grab some hydration. So, Mr. Razor Blade, I'm entrusting everyone to you.
It's a bad idea.
That's why I'm doing it. I trust you to be absolutely horrible to me.
Alright, cock.
Wait! Hold on! You truly are a red rocket.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Spreading the message all over your face.
Fucking hell. He said that, and I'm reminded of how a realist hero remade the kingdom. As the protagonist, the fantasy equivalent of a war criminal who becomes effective a slave. Is that like an anime? Or like some kind of manga that you read?
It's an anime.
Okay. Manga turned anime. Okay, I'm gonna need the sauce for that when I get back. I'll be 5 minutes tops.
Yeah, realist.
Actually, I'll wait until Uncle Walt gets back, so I'm not leaving my bestie alone. I love you. I'm right here. Holy shit! What the fuck?
You hate me.
I appear to be in a bit of a lag loop.
Yep. That'll do it. It'll do, big that'll do. I need more steel plates.
Oh, it's always the steel plates that end up falling behind. Isn't it?
I'm gonna finish all this shit. See what I gotta do. Infinite falling works.
Oh yeah. I don't know why I raised this up.
Because you're dumb.
Like this is probably the highest it'll go. So like,
What have you been up to, man?
like in life?
Yeah.
Honestly, not too much. I've just been working, and being tired and stuff. But like, oh, hold on, let me send you a picture of something real fast.
If it's not the PC that we talked about, I don't.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I'm a dad now.
Your dad?
Hold on a second. Why aren't you at the top of my? Oh, there you are.
Damn. Pull out game week.
No. Like, hold on. Where is he?
Oh, you're like a cat dad?
No,
Or a dog dad?
my son. Look at him.
Oh. I didn't realize you were part of the Star Wars universe.
It's a big old fucking bobblehead too.
You just take it with you wherever you go. You're like,
I
"Oh,
just
my
got
son."
him. I just got him today, you know? He's never gonna see the light of the sunshine again, but that's not the point. For those of you in chat, I'm not talking about an actual person. I promise.
Yeah, he is not an actual father. Like, he does not have a child. He has a metaphorical child.
Metaphorical, these nuts.
Metaphorically being, it's like, I'm just gonna call you my child now.
It is my child, yeah. But yeah, outside of that, I've just been working, you know. That's just how life's been going. Nothing too exciting. I'm trying to think of like other games I can get into. I know I'm gonna be doing some Baldur's Gate tomorrow, I think, with Zach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You play much of the Baldur's Gates?
I do.
Oh. Are you free Saturday, Sunday kind of areas?
Sunday.
Sunday?
I'm back.
Sunday, sometimes.
Okay.
I only hit one of the microphone mute buttons, so hopefully nothing got picked up because my sister was
I
telling me.
didn't hear anything.
Well, I hit the Discord one, not the the OBS one.
I don't know.
But
we heard
my
everything.
sister was
I can't believe you would do that.
my sister was
You
telling
got
me
cancer!
about the fight event that she was at, and these two rude girls were being super rude.
That's pretty rude.
Imagine people being rude at a fighting event. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, like she
They
was
get
walking,
drunk and then they're like, I'm an MMA fighter.
she was walking through the
Great.
parking area, like go to the entrance, like walk in, right? And she was
Yeah.
working staff, and keep in mind this is in the city and it's at night, right? And fucking big tinted window black SUV is driving around the parking lot and lays on the fucking horn. And my sister is like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck that's about, but I'm just gonna ignore it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they drive right up to her, roll down the window, and they're like, bitch, are you fucking ignoring me? And just start
Yes.
off on her. And then they're like, is this the place to park for such and such, right? And she's like, yeah, this is the place. And then they start going off on her again, and it's like, bro, you're in a tinted window black SUV at night in the city. Like, you can't just lay on the horn at someone and expect them to walk up to the window. People aren't fucking stupid, bro. That's how you get killed.
And look at him and be like, do I look like your bitch? No? That's crazy. But then again, I'm also, I don't shy away from conflict, which is apparently not normal.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, fight or flight is a bit of a misnomer. You should do the flight first.
No, I will always fight first. It's amazing I've
You
lived this
gotta-
long.
You gotta fight for your right, you know?
I mean, yeah. But
I'm a lover, not a fighter. Be like, nah, if you really love something, you'll fight for it.
Some things aren't worth fighting
You
for.
gotta be a lover.
it's hard to fight for the things that matter when you die because you chose to fight instead of flight.
Eh, it'll be worth it. If I die, I die. I have like 0 value for it.
I feel like the
Really?
lesson that
I,
I feel like the lesson we're trying to learn is that sometimes you just gotta pick your battles right.
Pretty much, that's all it is.
Well,
Pick your
yeah,
battles.
I'm not gonna go into the inner city, find a whole bunch of dudes that are like obviously strapped and shit like that, and be like, "What's up, bro? You want to fight?" Like, I'm not gonna do that because they're just gonna be like, I have a gun." And I'll be like, "Fight me like a man," and then they go.
It's like that episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender when they're in prison and they need to start a prison riot. So one of their friends walks up to another guy in the prison.
Sokka's dad, and like shoves him and insults him, right? Yeah, or like he shoves him and he's like, "You want to fight?" And then he's like, "Why did you do that? I've been working on my anger. It really hurt my feelings."
And then it's like, "Oh, we're trying to start a riot," and he's like, "Oh, that's easy." Picks a guy up, holds him over his head, and he's like, "Hey, riot!" And then everybody starts fucking rioting.
Oh my god.
It's like in like kids' school cartoons where all you have to do is yell "food fight" and everybody just starts chucking their fucking food, no hesitation.
Meanwhile, if you did that in an actual school, they'd be like, "No, I'm hungry. I'm not doing that.
I want to eat this."
Somebody might.
I mean, you'll definitely get the one guy, right?
You'll get. There's always one.
There's always one.
Yeah, there'll be like a small handful, like at most.
That's what I've come to. If there's some like piece, if you want to learn something like coming to stream, there's one thing you should learn, is that there's always one.
There's always that one
nobody
fucking
would do
guy.
That. Nobody would do that. Nobody would say that. Nobody would, go over here. Like, you think like, you go to a convention and stuff like that, and you see a whole bunch of like hot cosplayers and stuff like that, and you'd think like, they'd have the rule like, "Hey, don't touch me unless like I tell you you can, be respectful of me." And it's like, why do you think they have that rule? Because somebody did it. And it's like, you're just like, there's always at least one person that's like, you're the reason we create rules. You're the reason that there's fucking instructions on a fucking shampoo bottle. Do I put it in my mouth? No.
Why not? But how would it taste good? You can't fault me for that.
One thing that I thought was interesting that I didn't know about until I heard about it is that the fucking, what are they called? Like the swabs, like the ear swab things.
Q-tips, cotton swabs.
Q-tips. Yeah, and then it says on the box, "Do not use these on your ears."
Correct. You're not supposed to. Even doctors will tell you that. No, just don't do it.
Yeah, because you'd risk damaging your eardrum. And,
yeah, you can damage. Yeah. I do it anyway because it feels good.
Yeah. You just got to be careful with it. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, it's...
Back in the day when that was the only rule, don't be dumb.
What the fuck's a yaoi paddle? What the hell?
A yaoi paddle? It's a giant paddle with the word yaoi written on it, and it's like supposed to be like a BDSM thing. It's same prospect. You know what I mean?
I saw an interesting, definitely not for self-defense weapon.
On the deck.
Yep.
Okay.
On Amazon today, and it confused me, so I had to investigate. Basically, Amazon was recommending, it's a long wooden stick with a handle and a loop on one end. It's a club.
Nightstick.
It's a nightstick, right? Like it's just a wooden club at the end of the day, right?
But they're like, it's a walking cane.
Yeah, well, it's a tire thumper for checking the pressure. Yeah, you thump the tire, and if depending on how easy it is, if the tire pressure is right? And it's like, that's not what this is.
No.
This is a self-defense weapon, but you can't call it that.
Because then you have certain taxes and things,
and also just in certain states, like, you can't carry those around. Like in my state, you can't carry a knife around unless you have like a justifiable reason. So
Self-defense?
it's not a reason. You can't use that
It's
reason.
not a reason?
No, that
What
is
about
not
what about
a
a
valid
survival
reason.
knife or a utility knife, like just in case I need it, you know?
Those you can argue. The law is a little gray, right? But you can make that argument. If you say self-defense, then they will confiscate it immediately and possibly arrest you, depending on the circumstances. In my state, that's the way the law is written. So I think, is it my cousin's? I can't remember if they're engaged or not, but cousin's significant other, right, is a construction worker. And his way around it is that, like, oh shit, like it was on my belt at work, I forgot about it, like I didn't even know it was there, right? I have the thing on all the time, right? And that's his excuse if it's ever becomes an issue, is the, oh shit, I was at work and, you know, I have the thing on my belt all the time, and, you know, like it's a perfectly valid excuse, right? Self-defense is not an excuse. And depending on the knife, oh well, it's just a utility knife, also might not be an excuse. It depends on the knife and it depends on the cop.
Like a box cutter.
Right. Like a box cutter is like, well, oh man, I work in a warehouse. I'm cutting boxes and like that saran wrap shit all the time, you know?
You know, I just had it on from work and I forgot it was there.
Right. Like you can get away with that. That's a valid reason.
It's company
But-
property, so...
Yeah, but if you have like a fucking 4 or 5 inch Bowie knife, that excuse doesn't work as well, you know?
Yeah.
But you kind of have to play tricks with it, just because I live in a dumb state where self-defense is not a valid reason to do a lot of things. And it's, to some extent, there is a little bit of logic in the sense that they want to discourage people from carrying weapons around that have a chip on their shoulder, right? But they take it
So,
too
like-
far. They take it way too far. They're trying to avoid situations where people that are just looking to pick a fight will escalate a fist fight into a, oh, somebody is now bled to death on the pavement. You know what I mean?
That's just common sense. I don't know where...
Right. But that's why... That is the reasoning. That's where the law comes from. Is a general wish to prevent fistfights from turning into a bloodbath. Right?
Yeah.
But their solution is bullshit. That's the problem. Is that their solution to that problem is, well, you need to have a good reason and it can't be self-defense. Like, okay, but self-defense is a good reason. You know?
Yeah, my state has... the whole
Self-defense
thing
is
where it's like-
one of the best reasons, actually.
Yeah, my state has the
Yeah.
thing where it's like, all right, you know, don't be stupid. And the reason and your incentive for that is everybody is armed.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, oh, if I'm going to go mug somebody today, chances are everyone you look at on the street has something for self-defense. So
Yeah.
if you're there's no incentive for
I mean,
violence because you're like,
I
you're
always
probably
carry
fucked if
at a
you do.
minimum pepper spray. The pepper spray never leaves my person, and other stuff only leaves my person when it's like, I mean, I can't take a knife into a fucking grocery store if the knife has
Oh,
to be
that
visible,
attitude.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing because you can't conceal it either, right? It has to be visible.
Well, you have to have a concealed carry permit.
Right. Well, for concealed carry permits, I used to live in a May issue state before the Bruin decision about a year ago, where they were like, yeah, you can't do that. which is one of the states where you need to have a reason, a justifiable reason to get a concealed carry permit, right? And the reason is, oh, we just deny you 99% of the time, right? Which is the whole reason why the Bruen decision in the Supreme Court went the way it did, is because it's like, it's one thing to be like, you need to have some reason why you think your life might be in danger, as opposed to, well, you just deny everybody, so it's effectively a ban, right?
Yeah.
So once that decision came down, they changed all the rules, but it used to be the case that unless you were private security or a police officer, you could not get a concealed carry permit in this state, period. Or if you knew someone, right? Like, if you were personal friends with the judge in your district, then they might give you one, right? But everybody else got fucked. It was impossible. You couldn't get them. It's like, oh, well, you don't have a good enough reason. Sorry. But it's very, very silly. There are also a lot of rules about pepper spray. You can only use certain ones. So I bought pepper spray for most of my immediate family a couple of years ago. And I spent like 2 hours going through everything. To find a seller that sold reliable products, because pepper spray is not like a controlled commercial product, in the sense that, like, the FDA tests it to make sure that the thing that you're claiming is pepper spray is actually pepper spray and not just water in a tube. Like, you could totally just sell that, basically.
Yeah.
So it has to be a product that is actually reliable, that people have bought, like, oh, they'll buy like 100 of them and then test them all and be like, okay, yeah, they're actually making pepper spray and it's not a scam, right?
I'd just like to point out
a seller that was willing to sell to me in my state because of all the restrictions. And C, did not break the law. And it took me like 2 or 3 hours before I could finally find a product that was actually, like, good, that met all the criteria.
just like to point out
Yeah.
that Cargo said he was going to be late. He is now 3 hours late.
Oh, he is. I told Fen, was it Monday? Or Tuesday?
Was it Monday?
I don't remember. I think it was Monday. I was like, "Hey man, you're 4 days late for space engineers. What what happened?" I've had the server running 4 straight days.
Oh boy.
All right. I don't know how much more work you want to do, Fen, but I am going to stop stream.
I'm pretty tired myself, and I don't know what to do with this. I know what I want to do with it, but I don't know how to do with this.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
The way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out next week, hopefully, when I don't want to die.
On Total Drama Island?
Yeah.
On Dragon Ball Z?
Find out next time
Naruto
on
Shippuden.
Dragon Ball Z.
I'm just
There
doing
we go.
stuff,
It's got
so
a bit more shape to it.
next time Cargo gets on here, he's going to be like, the fuck?
What all is this shit?
What's with all the penises?
Yeah.
There's
I built
so
a giant
many.
cock. All right, let me get in my pod.
All right, I'm gonna raid out. Thanks for hanging out, y'all.
Odd time? Oh shit, hold on. Let's find someone together real fast.
Oh, I was gonna raid Mocha Bean.
I don't know who that is. Send me their...
Assuming that it will let me, because I only have one viewer. And some people have it set.
Oh, yeah.
Well, some people have it set to 2. Just to avoid like clout chasers that will raid and then immediately go live again.
What the fuck? That's a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing. And it works, apparently.
Okay.
Because if you
That
just do
doesn't
that, you do
sound-
that for like 12 hours, you might end up with like 200 or 300 followers that way.
That sounds kind of cheesy.
It's very
I-
cheesy and shitty.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not very sustainable.
No, it's not. It's a good way to get the algorithm to like you. Right?
Yeah.
But all
I
it takes is like 1 or 2 people to follow through and notice that that's what you're doing. And it tanks your
Yeah.
reputation.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for hanging out, y'all. I will
worries.
maybe see you tomorrow with Cyberpunk. I don't know. Depends on how I feel in the morning.
Right.
Take it easy, take care of yourselves, drink lots of water, get lots of sleep, and if you don't, I will punch you in the face. Bye-bye.
With your own face?